What if your business was never meant to be built alone? And what if God actually wanted to co-create it with you, to carry the weight and the burden that you've been carrying on your own? Hello, friend. Welcome back to the Awakened Entrepreneur Show. This is Juan Galan, your host. And on today's episode, I'm going to share the story of how I stopped relying just on myself. The story of how I stopped relying just on me and just on strategy and started letting God lead my business. Because let me tell you, it's been a huge game changer for me. So if you've been following me for a while or you listened to the previous episodes, I mentioned that I pivoted my business back in October to honor God. I was in Bali and I was looking for a spiritual awakening, not necessarily through God, but God works in mysterious ways. He led me to Bali and he opened up the eyes. He lifted off the veil and so many things were clear now. And one of those things was that I wanted my business to honor him. I wanted my business to be inspired by him. I wanted my business to be a ministry that would bring more people closer to him, because the things that he has done in just a short amount of time in my life and business have been massive. And I'm not saying this so that you go now and be like, okay, I'm gonna believe in God and put him in the center of my business and things are gonna miraculously improve. No. There are still challenges in my business. I still struggle some days. And let's be real for a second. Entrepreneurship is freaking hard. And it's also very lonely. I don't know about you, but when I started my business, I had absolutely no one else going through the same journey or experience as me. I had no one to share or to brainstorm with or to just surround myself with that would inspire me or that would motivate me when I wasn't feeling motivated. For the first years, it was me by myself. And luckily, I think I have been built for those types of situations. I am a very extrovert person, but I work and live really well independently. So yes, I started my business and it was lonely. But for a lot of people, this loneliness ends up becoming a self-fulfilling prophecy, because if you have no one around you, no one to share your challenges or your wins with, you end up just losing the spark for it. So the reason why I'm saying this is that you don't have to do this on your own. If you are in that phase right now, if you're feeling that this is hard, that you are lonely, that you cannot talk to anyone about it, you can talk to God, and he is more than happy to listen to you, to hear what you have to say, and he will understand. And the best thing is that he will give you the best advice because he wants the best for you. Now, this doesn't mean that when you start co-creating your business with God, you don't have to do anything. Like, you still have to put in the work, but this is what I've learned. My input still matters, but the outcome belongs to God. I am responsible for showing up, but he is responsible for what flows from it. So now I want to share with you, what does co-creating with God mean for me or look like for me. And I do want to mention something. I am a brand new Christian, brand new believer, less than 6 months, I think. So maybe some of the things that I'll be sharing with you won't, if you're a older Christian, maybe they won't make a lot of sense, or maybe you'll think they're not right. But again, this is a space, and I mentioned this in my first episode, a judgment-free area. I am allowed to make mistakes. I am allowed to say things that might not resonate with you. But yeah, and also if you're not a believer, this is by no means me trying to impose my beliefs on you. But I do want to share my story and show you the blessings that I've received and the great things he's done with my life, in case that this might drop some seeds of curiosity there in you. So these days, I start every morning in conversation with God. We talk about business, goals, about what's in my heart. I ask for the people I love. I thank him for the things that I have, for the things that I'm coming. It's not a formal conversation at all. It's very relational. It's co-creative. Partner like my provider. And I've never felt more supported, grounded, or more at peace. I still love my business, but now I know that I am not building it alone. And that changes everything. So now, every time I'm going to create something, let's say a new post, or I'm thinking of a new program, or I'm facing a challenge in my business, or I need to make a decision, I always consult with him. And this literally means just stopping for a second, closing my eyes, taking a deep breath, and connecting to his presence, because his presence is always here with us. You don't need to go look anywhere. It's always here with us. You just need to tap into it. And I might do a small prayer, or even just stay in silence and listening to what he has to say. I've heard his voice so many times telling me different things, not necessarily about business, but about personal stuff as well. And if you silence the noise outside and in your mind, it's very likely you will hear what he's trying to tell you. Now, letting God lead your business doesn't mean that things won't get hard, that you won't have challenges. There's actually something that I faced and I'm still facing, which is releasing control, especially when it comes to sales. I talked about this last episode about redefining success. And even though I've redefined success already, that doesn't mean that there aren't days when I don't feel disappointment because maybe a campaign didn't go as expected. That doesn't mean that there aren't days when scarcity creeps in, when the fear of running out of money doesn't creep in. And even though I know that I'm fully supported, those old stories, those old programs, the enemy's voice always try to creep in. The good thing now is that I catch them faster. I know they're not from God. I know that's not what he wants for me and for my business. And I remind myself, God has never let me down. He's always working even when I can see it, just as the song says. But just thinking about that, I come back to peace. Now, I do think that a lot of entrepreneurs still, especially believers, still resist the idea of bringing God into their business. Because to be honest, I was also scared when I pivoted and I made the decision and I heard him telling me to shift my business to honor him. I was scared. I was scared of being judged, of being criticized, or made fun of. But the truth is that the more I shared my journey and how I started walking in his truth, the more people were inspired by my boldness. I had a lot of people from my church in Bali that had been believers for years, and I had just literally got baptized a week ago, and I was already sharing my journey and my experience and how passionate and full of life I felt. And they came to me and they told me how brave I was and how inspired they were by me, by how I was just so openly talking about this experience that a lot of people are afraid to talk about, because not everyone is a believer. And yes, I have lost so many followers ever since I started talking about Jesus. But if they don't resonate with this, that's completely fine. You don't have to preach. You don't have to force anything. Just let your life be the evidence. So if you believe in God, but you don't know how to call him or invite him into your business, start very simple. Talk to him. Before you start your working day, talk to him. Before you check in your metrics, check in with him. Before you make a decision, pause and ask for wisdom. Before you jump on a call with a prospect, pray and ask for guidance. Talk to him like the provider he is, like the business partner he is. Talk to him as like the CEO that he is. You don't need to make decisions on your own anymore. It's just like a child trusting their parent fully, completely, without needing to understand anything. That's what Jesus meant when he said, "Let the little children come to me." He was talking about that level of trust. One of the stories that I come back to often from scripture, which is also one of my favorite inspiring stories, is Job's story. You know, he lost everything. He lost his wealth, he lost his family, he lost his friends. And even though the enemy kept trying to crush him, he never cursed God and he never gave up his faith. And in the end, after years, God restored him with more than he had before. That is the kind of trust I want in my business, with God as the CEO. Not just when things are going well, but especially when they're not. So if you've been carrying your business on your own, if you've been relying only on strategy and feeling overwhelmed, maybe it's time to invite God in. Again, it doesn't mean that you'll never have problems or challenges, but it does mean that you will have more peace, because you'll know you're not building this alone. Now, to help you take the first step, I have created a free worksheet called Co-Creating with God. You can download it from the link in the show notes, or if you're watching on YouTube, the link in the description. It's a space to reflect, release, and recenter your business with Him at the core. And if this episode spoke to you, please come to Instagram at @IamJuanGalan and DM me telling me what was the thing that stood out the most. And if you were listening on the podcast platforms like Spotify or Apple iTunes or any other, please give me a 5-star review, leave some comments, share this with a friend, help me spread this mission of changing lives for millions of entrepreneurs. And if you're on YouTube, give those thumbs up. Let me know in the comments what resonated with you the most. Subscribe. I'd love to hear how you're starting to work this path. And I will see you next week with my first guest interview, which I cannot wait to share with you. See ya.